Hi, and welcome to the Happiness Coach podcast. My name is Lorree Brandt, and I am the Happiness Coach. I believe our natural state is peace and calm, and the only thing keeping us from living life from that centered space are our limiting beliefs. It's my understanding that thoughts like, I'm not worthy, I'm not safe, or I'm not enough can be eliminated. Once revealed and questioned, they begin to lose their hold so that our natural state of greatness can rise up and into our present day experience. On this podcast, you'll listen in on real life coaching calls, interviews with leading experts, and open discussions exploring limiting beliefs and their transformation. If after listening you found it interesting or helpful, please follow and share. If it inspired you to consider becoming a life coach yourself, visit my website for upcoming ICF-approved life coach certification training dates at www.lorreebrandt.com. All right, let's jump in and get started. I'm so excited to have Lorree here with me today. Hi, Lorree. How are you?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much, Lorree, for having me on your interview. This is wonderful. I love doing these.
Well, Lorree Appleby, who is the owner, creator of A Purposeful Journey, is going to be participating in the Unleash Your Greatness Conference in 2020.
Yeah, really excited.
And I'm really excited to have you. I think you're going to bring a really unique piece to the conference. And so for the people that might be kind of sitting on the fence, wondering, is this conference really for me? I thought I would, spend some time introducing the people that will be a part of it and get a feel for who, you are, who we all are, and what kind of message we're bringing.
Mm-hmm. Great idea. Yeah.
So I've kind of met you through social media. I've learned little bits here and there, but maybe, if you're open to it, can you just kind of maybe share with us what brought you to the work that you do?
Absolutely. So it was really my life journey, the journey from right from childhood, growing up, feeling that there was something wrong with me. I didn't fit in. My opinions, my asking questions was not something that I was supposed to do. So I was very much hiding. And some of the experiences that I had really kept me even more wanting to stay safe and small and not to put myself out there for any kind of rejection. And that really evolved into people pleasing and codependency in relationships that I had with some loved ones. So in that, I would say I didn't really start to really acknowledge any of those things until in my 40s, and I'm about to be 50 in February. So.
And it's amazing, right? Like how we live that way, almost incognito.
Yeah.
And I love my 40s because I did the same thing. It's like, what? And it's like you get to take a new look, a fresh look. When I was reading a little bit about you, what I noticed is that you had a predominant limiting belief, and it was like, I'm not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because our keynote, Gina, is all about the too much. I'm too much.
Yeah.
So
right.
yeah. So we've got both extremes here, and I would love it if you could just share. What do you mean by that I'm not enough? Like, where do you think that came from?
Well, I'm pretty sure I know where it came from. So I had very young parents and love them dearly. They did the best they could with what they had. However, being really young and naive, I guess their own beliefs came through. So when I was really young, I was a very inquisitive child and got into a lot of things because I was very curious. So, just getting up before everyone else and exploring and getting into things and making lots of messes. And that caused a lot of grief, a lot of upset in the home. And I also have a sister that's, 13 months younger than I. So you could imagine, two young parents that under 20 years old raising these two kids and this toddler, every time, most mornings they wake up and I'm getting into stuff. So
and they're wanting to sleep in. Yeah.
Yeah. So it caused a lot of trouble from what I'm aware of. And I really just squashed, I really just shut down that curiosity, that inquisitive child, and started to become a good girl because I wanted, of course, my parents to love me, and I didn't want to cause trouble. I didn't want to cause fights and arguments and things like that. So it started really quite early, from what I'm aware of. So I don't have a lot of memory, but I've gone back and done healing on that. And just in talking with different family members, I've learned that that's how it started. So as I got older, my parents split up when I was 5, and my mom and my sister were quite out there. They weren't concerned with what other people thought. I was the polar opposite of that. So I just wanted to dissolve into the wall. I didn't want to have any attention on me. I was also favorited by one of my grandmothers, in a sense, to a fault, that she really put me up on this pedestal, and she was treating my sister and I quite differently. And I wasn't aware of that, but as I got older, I started to realize what was going on. And in the healing work that I've done for myself, I found that I had this need to go above and beyond to feel worthy of the love and whatever I received, of anything I received. I felt like I had to really earn it. So I didn't feel worthy. Yeah.
The young parents. So first you're really inquisitive, but that's not, they're not happy about that. So you need to be something different. So you're not enough.
Yes.
You need to be something different. And so then you start people pleasing. And so then you start people pleasing and get all this attention from your grandma, but then you made another connection about the worthiness. Can you just maybe talk a little bit about that? Like how that came up?
Yes, I saw my sister and I being treated differently, and I didn't feel that it was fair because, I felt like we should be treated the same. Although there was a part of me that did crave how I was being treated, like with, just doted upon, and giving all this love and attention was being put upon me. But then seeing my sister not get that, it hurt. And then it made me feel not worthy of what I was receiving. So then I just went into this, well, if I prove myself, if I am always that person to do whatever anyone wants or needs, and I would be the fixer, I would be the organizer, I would be the one that people would always go to. And I am still that, but it's coming from a different energy now. So in doing that, I didn't feel worthy of the love I was receiving. And I did attract in a partner that, I repeated that pattern over and over again as my life went on. So just not feeling that I fit in. And even in school, it was really tough to fit in. And I started to experience some shaming in school because I grew breast in grade 4. I had, I was bigger than all the other girls, and I was very tall. So even in that, in school, you want to be like everybody else, and I was completely not. So not feeling like I fit in there, trying to fit in. But then I had this other part of me that said, I don't want to fit in. So I went down this other road of like, you don't want to be my friend, fine, I will do it on my own, kind of thing. So there was this piece of me that was independent, but rejecting that love, because I started to build those walls up around my heart because I was protecting myself from being hurt and rejected again. So there was it came from so many different areas in my life that but the theme was that there's something wrong with me. I don't fit in. I'm not enough as who I really am. So therefore I need to be what other people want me to be. So I was kind of like a chameleon. In any situation, I really perfected how to fit in. If I felt like that was the place that I needed to fit in and be who others wanted. So I wasn't showing my true self. Very few people I did that.
How, those beliefs shaped how you behaved, how you interacted in the world until you were 40.
Absolutely. And even then, it's taken a lot to undo all that patterning, but so
worth it. Yeah. I know. So that is why I do this conference, because I have had not the same experience, but when you recognize that the beliefs, the behaviors that you're engaging in the idea that we're keeping ourselves safe or we're keeping ourselves happy, when you start to recognize like that, yeah, they're totally not working. And that by kind of questioning them and moving through them, you can have a completely different different way of living your life. And it's like, I can't help but want to share, let's let people know this amazing secret, right? Yes. So I know that you have this piece called the radical living approach. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So radical living, I'm a radical living master coach, and it was created by Colin Tipping, who passed just last year. And he started this whole institute. Really, it began in the early 90s. And he really started to look at why are people getting cancer, and how can people find the gifts in the worst thing possible, like being faced with your mortality. And he started to work through, he was a hypnotherapist and a teacher, so he started to go through all those limiting beliefs. And creating really simple to use tools and processes to help us to honor the story that we're telling ourselves. And he called it the victim story, but the victim story in the sense that poor me, I have no control over what's happening in my life. And working through that and helping people to feel their actual feelings. So that was another thing I really had a hard time, and so many do, of honoring and validating the feelings that I had and actually allowing myself to feel them. So there's a lot of, I can't remember the name, but there's a lot of research out there that shows that people with these cancer, will say, for instance, they're always really, really nice people. And it's because a big part of it, there's a small amount that's the genetic part of it, but the bigger amount is that they've learned a process to experience those emotions, but by not feeling them. So
washing them down. I think you know what, it might be Louise Hay. I think cancer, there is a definite connection to that. And
so I was doing that. I was learned that it was being sensitive was not okay, and having your feelings was not okay. So I processed everything up in my head. And in doing that, in 2013, I had some, warning signs, and I had a colonoscopy, and they found a precancerous polyp, quite a large one, growing in my colon. So your colon is your root chakra, and that's all about safety and security. So I was on that path. But I was very fortunate that, and my specialist said, he said, most people don't get that warning to get the check, and then it's too late once they find out. So it was really a gift for me to have that taken care of and look at what I was doing. So the radical living approach is to look at your life, first of all, taking responsibility for it. We can't control, or we don't have a say in what we'll say. We'll just use it as a deck of cards. You don't have the say in that, or playing a game. You don't have control over the cards you're dealt, but you do have control over how you play your cards. And you can look at that with life too. We don't, we can't choose our childhood. We just, but it's how you make it. It's how you look at it. Are you going to look at it from the point of view that, poor me, I have no control, there's nothing I can do, and everything bad happens to me, and it's not fair, which is society in a sense was very much like that. It's starting to change. And looking at it from this different point of view that, okay, how can I look at this, where are the gifts, what can I learn from this? Because we're always put in this position that it's whatever our judgment is of ourself or of anything else, the truth is usually the opposite. So looking at your life from that point of view, honoring your feelings, allowing yourself to have them. And that was such a big thing for me, was allowing myself to have my feelings. I had to work with a few different coaches because to undo that automatic response. We would touch on truth, and if I could feel the feelings coming up, and I wanted to feel them, but then they would go right back down. Like I was automatically shoving them down. And when we push them down, they're staying in your body, and then they come out as eventually physically, right? So it takes a bit of time, but the radical living approach is really every single day reminding yourself of what your truth really is. And if you don't know what that is, then that's an exploration that you want to take on. And that's very much a lot of the work that I do with my clients and with my
That's why I think you're such a great fit for this conference, because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be jump starting anyone who's looking to make this change. Because you know what, I don't know about you, but you start to think, okay, I want to work on this, but then it's like, how? and the books are telling us that it's possible, but how? How do I do it? I have this unique background, you have a unique background. Just because it worked for you, is it really going to work for me? And I had all those questions. And so this conference is definitely going to be about jumpstarting everyone who's interested in exactly what you were saying. Because you know what? It's one thing to say, oh, I can look back at how everything was a gift. And when you're in the throes of that victim, kind of mentality, or, just haven't had the opportunity to look at your past differently, you can kind of think, there was no gift. So when you look back now at maybe your most difficult times, are you able to see the gifts now?
Now I can, but I do want to say that is something that you work towards. I would never, ever say to somebody that was in the middle of, not there, I wouldn't take them there yet. Because it's a process, the radical living process, the radical forgiveness process, is that there's 5 stages. So I can quickly share what they are, because I think it might help people. And that's what I truly loved about this modality, is that it really does honor our humanness. And we are human. Like, we can as much say we can tap into these spiritual laws and all that, but if you don't start there, start with what is your story, and look at what happened. So we have to witness and validate it, because very often the things that may have happened to us, nobody validated it. Nobody gave us we never had a voice. We never actually even verbalized it. We just pushed it all down. And the stories grow, it starts out here, and then it's like a ball of yarn that it keeps. So it's unpacking layer by layer, and it doesn't have to be difficult. But it is about retraining ourselves, because they are programs. We are programmed right from birth. We're creating these programs, these beliefs, and it's about we start creating it, and then it's about uncreating it. So we witness and validate that story, that victim story of where we were wronged, we were hurt, life's not fair, we were abused, we were rejected, abandoned, betrayed, whatever it is. And it could be a few of those things. And then the second stage is feeling our feelings, that we are entitled to our feelings. Every person is. And it's important for us to acknowledge and feel and validate our feelings. The third stage is collapsing that story. So looking at that same story that we initially looked at, but starting to look at it and see what are the facts and what were the interpretations that we made, because that's where the programs are, in our interpretation. So for instance, for me, one of my beliefs was that it's not safe to be me. Well, that's an interpretation. I interpreted that because of the things that happened. But truly, I was safe, but I didn't feel safe. So you see how we're going. We have to have the feelings and allow ourselves to feel it, and then start to look at what are the interpretations, and then look at any of those people in our life. It's always the parents, one or the other or both, and others that we look at, and look at what was it maybe like in their shoes. They did the best they could, even though that best might not have been very good at all. Where did they come from? So you start to collapse the story, meaning we're taking some of that victim energy away from it. And really, the radical living approach is all about shifting our perception, being willing to be open to look at it from a different point of view. So really what we're doing is we're taking this old story and we're creating a new story. And that's that new story is the empowered story, the one that we want to live and breathe every day and keep reminding ourselves. So that's the third stage. The fourth stage is looking, and that fourth stage is it's all a gift. So you cannot get to that fourth stage unless you have really done those other stages and done them fully. So especially the feelings part, because that's where so many people get caught up. That's where I had to continually work on. And it took me a few years because...
What was that? Like feelings apart? What do you mean by that?
Feeling their feelings.
Right.
Yeah, just feeling them, just allowing ourselves. Like I said, I did not validate. I was not validated. But more importantly, I didn't validate my feelings. And that's huge, so you say you feel, just for instance, say you feel jealousy, say you feel jealous over a partner when they talk to another woman, just to give us something to talk about. But then thinking, oh, well, that my partner is faithful to me. They do really love me. So when you feel that, then you would think, oh, well, I'm not supposed to feel jealous. I'm not supposed to. So then you're not validating your own feelings. So the point is that I feel jealousy, but I do know the truth that my partner is not, and maybe they even are, who knows. But for me, that's what was happening. I had an experience, and that feeling, I still had to validate it. Even though I knew it wasn't true, I still had to validate it and know that there was a part of me that had felt jealousy and felt that there was something wrong with that. And I had to validate those feelings, even though I knew it wasn't true. So whether it's true or not,
is it part of the radical living process to link, acknowledge that thought, but then connect it to, okay, so what am I believing?
Exactly. That's the next piece. Right? So why do I feel jealous? Where in my life have I had this happen before, maybe, where I didn't feel that I was worthy of love and attention and of the person giving that to me, and I have a problem when they're giving attention to someone else, right? So when we're judging, really that judgment is always deep down somewhere about ourselves, whether we believe it or not. So in saying that, we don't have to go back and dig up all the past too much. We really don't have to do that.
No.
It's really about just accepting that anything that I judge in someone else, I am somewhere inside judging it about myself. And just owning that, okay, there's a part of me that's jealous, and that's okay. I still love myself, because as humans, we are all things, right? To be whole and complete, you have to accept in all parts of yourself, right?
Yeah. And I love the idea that we're able to address the emotion piece, because a lot of people think like, oh, okay, one, I don't want to open that Pandora box, because if I let that up and out, I don't know what will happen. And it kind of sounds like you had that kind of fear because
Absolutely. Yes,
we're not
absolutely.
talking about going back into your deep
No.
childhood and doing therapy. That's not what we're talking about. I think we're both very much on the same page. We come from the place that when you can start to kind of entertain the idea that our thinking is actually triggering the emotions, and
Yes.
then that in fact is creating strategies that we're putting into play on a regular basis
Yes.
to try to not to feel those emotions.
Right. Right.
We kind of go at it in a completely different way and say, okay, so what are we feeling? Let's
Yeah.
really get familiar so we can recognize that
Yeah.
maybe we're believing something that we want to maybe consider not believing anymore.
Absolutely. Yes. So,
Yeah.
and I had to keep telling myself, first validate the feelings, but like you said, then I had to say, okay, what what am I thinking? What's that loop that I keep saying to myself, right? I'm not worthy of love, right? I'm not worthy of attention, of someone else giving me that, like someone I love, right? That was the deep thing. And that's that is where I had to keep reminding myself, no matter what I did, no
Mhm.
matter whether I did something amazing or I messed up, I'm still worthy,
Yeah.
even no matter what, whether I'm good or bad, if you want to
Yeah.
put labels on it.
That's your natural state is
Yes.
worthiness.
And
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
natural state.
So
But
I'm
we
really
start to
curious.
hide that part of ourself that isn't accepted.
Yeah, I'm really curious. So, based on your story, would it be true to say that you had a bit of a disconnect between your thinking, feeling, and how your physical body was reacting to the thinking and the emotions? Would that be true? Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
and then would like, when did that become a part of your awareness that my body was actually communicating a lot of this as well?
Mm.
Besides the cancer, of course, that was
I would,
the
yeah,
bipolar.
I would say for me, the body part was the last part for me. So I first, mind, body, spirit. We'll say I first started with the mindset piece,
Yeah.
then I got with the spiritual piece, and then I started working on the body piece because, like I said, I really had this love-hate relationship with my body,
Mm.
and I didn't treat it very well. I didn't love it. I didn't, even though people would say, "Oh, you're so beautiful," and this and that, and I didn't feel it, I really didn't. So that was only the last few years that I really started to focus on my body, and learn and notice when my body was speaking to me. And now every time something goes on, I know there's something there. So really all I do is I go, oh, look at that. My neck is sore. Like I have this tension in my neck. Okay, I'm gonna, rather than thinking to myself, oh, I don't want to have it. Oh, this is again, like just resisting it.
Yeah.
And I hate this neck pain and why me and all that stuff. I don't do that anymore. I just breathe. My intention will be to breathe into that part of my body and send it love and say, what do you need? I'm giving you attention, and how can I support you? And just by shifting my thoughts from that resisting negative side to the loving accepting side, that it's okay, I have this pain and I love it. I love that because I know my body's trying to tell me something.
Yeah.
I don't try to figure it out. I was a figure it out person for a long time. I don't try to figure it out. I
This
truly,
actually draws you into resistance, doesn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because you can't figure it out. So it's like this another
What's wrong?
pattern.
Just saying,
So I
what's
don't. I
wrong? Yeah.
just, yeah, I just sit with it. I just sit with it. I love it. Okay, I love this part. It's how it's happening. And I know that it's going to show up, right? So whatever shows up for me, I really send it love and acceptance. And not to say I don't have resistance. This is something that it really took time, a little bit of time for me to get towards.
Yeah.
So really it's about just practicing. And trust me, we always have opportunity to practice. Thank you, family, friends, world, for giving us that. So
Definitely.
I also look at that when something happens that I feel is going to be a challenge or a struggle or not what I wanted. I have now been able to get my mindset to the point that I look at it that there's something here. It's not, wasn't in my consciousness that I thought it was something that was going to happen, but I know that there's learning here for me. And I truly trust that I'm always being directed to what I need. and what
Love,
is
love,
best for
love,
me.
love, love, love. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. So this is
So
fun.
that you can apply that to the body,
Yes.
to any life situation, to conflicts, to everything.
So the conference, as you know, we're going to be working on this. We're going to be working on the mindset. We're going to be working on the emotions. We're going to be working on the body piece and and how it relates to being in touch or aligned or whatever verbiage you want to use. But when you are in that state of worthiness and enoughness, just as you are, and being able to recognize when your thoughts, your emotions, or your experiences are drawing you away from that, and then being able to bring yourself back in.
Yes.
So, it's really going to be experiential to be able to practice everything that you've been sharing today. So, and you so eloquently have shared, what it would be like. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And I just want to add, you just recently got back from a conference in Florida, right? And it was about sharing your game. And I have that here. And we're going to have the opportunity of taking a look at that at the conference. Do you want to maybe just share a little bit about it?
So about the game or the conference or both?
Both, yeah.
So I'll briefly touch on the conference. It was called Ways of Light, and it was a spiritual conference, and it was amazing. So I talked about the soul's journey and the journey of that, we come here as a soul, take on a human body and experience life. And the game is called the Soul Adventure Game. So really what the premise is for it to help us to embrace our life, this purposeful journey that we are on, that we are here to experience all aspects. So we usually experience a lot of pain in the beginning of our lives, and then we start to have this midlife crisis, awakening, whatever you want to call it, where we look and go, hey, there's more to life than this. I did everything I thought I wanted, but there's more to it. What is it? Who am I? So many women, for myself, it was, who am I? I don't know who I am, because I was being who I thought everyone else wanted me to be. So we get in this exploratory awakening process, and then we start to awaken, and then we're just, like we say, unpacking all these beliefs and starting to replace them with our truth, which is who we are. Mm-hmm. And really, we are love, right? Like, we're divine, infinite being of love, and we are peace, and we are unity and compassion and those kind of things. That is our truth. However, the human aspect is that we're supposed to experience the opposite of those things, mm-hmm. right? So we experience the separation, the aloneness, the fear, the not enoughs, the too much, whatever it is, whatever our journey brought us through. So it's about looking at this whole journey of the soul, of our soul, and embracing all of it. Mm-hmm. Right? The good, bad, ugly, all of it. And what the soul adventure, so that's what we were doing. We were talking about at the conference. I shared the soul's journey, and I shared, that now we're in this awakening process of learning to love ourselves and accept ourselves for who we are, and to change those beliefs. The soul adventure game, what it does is it helps us to connect with our inner being, with our truth every single day in a very short amount of time. It helps us to hear our intuition more clearly, because we're practicing on demand every single day. And sometimes it comes through, sometimes it doesn't. It's all good, because it's all good, right? We don't necessarily always hear it. So it's helping us to get out of our head, where so many of us live, and bring us into our heart. Right? And so it takes 10 minutes a day. It can take longer, but really it only takes 10 minutes a day. And you are choosing you're playing the game, you're pulling your cards, you're creating this personal positive mantra that you can tap into throughout your day. And then you're also asking your intuition, your soul's wisdom, which is, I like to call it, what little action step can I take? So it's all about taking these small little steps every single day and building that momentum. Because when we try to do it in a big, huge way, it gets overwhelming. And the biology of belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton, I don't know if you know him, but the way to change our subconscious programming, our subconscious mind, is gentle, repetitive suggestions.
And
So it's all
action.
about,
That's what you said, action. See, this is the, I think you can think about it all day long about what you want, but you know, you've got to start moving in the direction and
yes,
start doing the behaviors that
yes,
are in alignment with who you
yes,
are, right? Yeah, that's what I,
absolutely. So
you
it helps us to connect to ourself, mind, body, and spirit in all ways, but in a fun, truthful way that is just for us. It's and I always tell people, whatever comes up for you, you're not allowed to beat yourself up over it. You just love yourself. Whatever comes up, we're sending love. We're shifting our beliefs. We're creating positive self-talk. We're building a habit of checking, being with ourselves, because especially as women, we are givers. We're over giving to everyone, and we're giving from empty or partially full cup. And really what we want to do is fill ourselves with that self-care, that self-love, acceptance, every single day, so that when we give, we're giving from the overflow. And when we can do that, we're not giving from that energy of lack. We're giving from that energy of fullness and love. So we all have so much love to give, but are we giving it to ourselves?
you know what, Lori, don't you find too that it's actually takes practice to recognize that you're empty.
Absolutely.
Empty. Some people have been empty for so long that that is what they think is their norm, right?
We burn out, and we were wearing it as a badge of honor. I
Yes.
was the mom martyr, like, look at me go, I can do it all and still, keep going the next day. But and we burn out and we deplete, and then that's when all the physical stuff starts happening, and relationship breakdown, self-hatred, because then we start to become aware of what we're doing, and then we start beating ourselves up because we see ourselves doing it. We don't know how to stop doing it. So that's what the soul adventure game is it's every day taking that 10 minutes or more, if you can, for ourselves. It's for us. It's completely our time. And some women, that's all they can manage at first.
Yeah.
But then as they go, they start adding it into a meditation practice, a journaling practice. And what you can do also, so you have this little journal card that you write your gameplay for the day, so you can take this with you, because it's really about having those mindful moments. So if you work at home, then you can keep it by your computer or whatever, but if you go to work or you're running around with the kids, stick it in your purse, pull it out, take some breaths, remind yourself of your truth, say that affirmation over and over again, and it really keeps us connected to our truth, because it's so easy to get sucked back into the
Yes.
life.
And I think
Yeah.
you hit the nail on the head when you talk about this is about creating a new habit, and
Mm-hmm.
anything that you can do to
Yeah,
bringing awareness up to how you're feeling. Which,
exactly. It brings awareness to how you're feeling, to your body, what's going on. And another beautiful thing about it, if as people start to do this, we track what we're pulling, what
I like
cards we're
that. See,
pulling.
when I was playing the game, I liked the idea of tracking it and seeing any
Yes,
patterns. That way,
right. And you see your patterns. And that's just more awareness on a little bit of a deeper level. And that's when you can really start to focus on look at this pattern of me um, putting other people's needs before my own. Right. That's a huge one for women. We
so let
do
me
that.
ask you, Lori, if you were to, let's say that there was someone who's thinking about, I'm not quite sure I know what they're talking about. Why do you think that they would resonate with this conference if this is just maybe new to them?
Well, I feel that they feel that little light inside them. There's something there. They know it deep down. Every single one of us has it. So knowing that that's there, but maybe it's really closed and covered and dimmed because of all the life experiences and all the beliefs and all that. If you come to this conference, you're going to connect with, you're going to hear speakers that are all going to be talking about how you can bring that beautiful light of yours, that love, out into the world. And you're going to be connected to all these other people who are doing the same thing, all in their own journey, but we are all on the same type of path, that we're all learning to shine our light. And it doesn't matter if you know who you are or what your purpose is. Your purpose is to be you. And if you don't know who you are, then this conference is going to help you to connect to that.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful thing when you do it in a group.
Yeah, and I would say to anyone who feels like they're getting that kind of inner nudge that there's got to be more. You know,
yes.
It's a knowing, but
absolutely
put words to it. Okay,
yeah.
I
yeah, and if you don't believe right now, because that was me, I didn't believe in myself, but I had others who did believe in me. And so if you're not believing in yourself that you can do it, that's okay, just come anyways, because we're going to all lovingly support each other in learning to love and believe and honor ourselves. And you're gonna have so much learning and clarity about taking your next steps. So it doesn't matter how old you are, you know, it all happens at the right time for the individual. Don't judge it, just come and be open. That is all I can say, is just being open to whatever shows up and trusting that whatever shows up is exactly what you need. You're going to get what you need. So if it's calling the person, if you're resonating with what I'm saying, what the other speakers are saying, what Lorree's sharing, then just take that chance, because you deserve it. Everything, and we all deserve it.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I found when I was beginning this process, when I started thinking about going to conferences, it was very intimidating, because I thought, you know, I don't know anyone, or, it's just putting yourself out there in something new. But what I took away from the conferences was the gift, the beauty of being with a bunch of people that are thinking about the same things that I am. And then you start to recognize, like, okay, it's not just me. Like,
that is amazing in itself.
There's no new limiting beliefs. We're all recycling the same ones.
Right. Absolutely.
Start to recognize that, it's like, it becomes this, one of the things that I really wanted, why I'm even doing the conference, is I felt that when I worked with people for an hour or 2 hours, it wasn't enough. I wanted them to experience the follow through of repetitive retraining of the mind, even in that, couple days, but it's enough to start experiencing the difference. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And then you take those things you learn, and then you start to just keep planting those seeds within yourself, because you're going to have a whole bunch of seeds planted from the conference. Yeah. And then our role is to just keep doing that every day, like just the little reminders. If it's putting post-it notes, if it's playing the game, if it's using other tools, there's so many tools to do that we can, use whatever resonates, but it's about every single day doing something. There might be days where you only do it for like 5 minutes, but that's okay. You did it.
Doing it, right?
Yeah. So great. Important.
So at the conference, you're going to be working with us on the Soul Adventure game, but also there's a platform on the Saturday evening for VIPs where, if anybody, wants to ask you anything in particular about what you said today, that would be a really, really great opportunity. And I'm super excited.
I'm so looking forward to meeting all these amazing people and sharing and
you're so beautiful, Lorree. I can't tell you, your light just shines when I spend time with you. And thank you so much for sharing your journey, your story, your skills, talents, and loving presence as well. And I am so looking forward to working with you in person in May. And so thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm so honored, and I'm very excited.
You've been listening to Lorree Brandt, the Happiness Coach. If you enjoyed the program, please go to iTunes and follow, rate, or leave a comment. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, life coach certification, go to my website, lorreebrant.com, or perhaps even attending our Unleash Your Greatness conference so greatness can reflect back in beautiful Ridgeway, Ontario at the Buffalo Canoe Club on the shores of Lake Erie. You can learn more at www.unleashmygreatness.com.